Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our unit on sports profiles, or at least that's the title of today's lesson. It's all about sports profiles, the super agents. And remember last time we were talking about a negotiation on a contract for Tyson, a basketball player for the Taipei Towers. You know them. They're really a fantastic basketball team. Their games are always really exciting, and Tyson is their star player. And, of course, Edith said, hey, you deserve a higher salary. I'm going to try to negotiate a higher salary for you. And I think she was actually successful there, at least in the extra dialogues. It does sound like she was able to get him a higher salary.
Yeah.
But we're going to be talking about agents in the sports world, which is actually informative for me because I don't really know how this stuff works. How you get contracts, how you get drafted into a team, and how long you have to be there, and when you get to be a free agent and you can start having your own contracts. I don't really understand that stuff myself. I'm not a big sports fan. So this lesson is going to teach me some things too.
Well, I am a sports fan, and I do know how it works. It's kind of funny. I wanted to be a sports reporter. That was my dream job when I got out of school. I studied broadcasting to go into sports, Tom. So, yeah, there are some really famous agents. The most famous agent in the world is Scott Boras. He represents the top athletes in different sports, not just one. He's not just an NBA agent or an NFL agent or an MLB agent. He has some of the top players in the world. We're going to talk a little bit about an agent who is in the soccer world, which I'm not familiar with soccer. It's not my sport. I don't really enjoy it, but that is what we're going to talk about because our writer loves soccer. So we're going to go ahead and read through today's article and then talk about some of these terms, these phrases, and how it works in the sports world.
When it comes to the big names in sports, people tend to think of the players on the field. However, in order for team owners to assemble a squad of championship-level players, they need to deal with the players' agents. Jorge Mendes represents some of the superstars of the soccer world. His clients include Cristiano Ronaldo and James Rodriguez. He even works for Jose Mourinho, one of soccer's most successful coaches. Though he never made it as a player himself, Mendes understands soccer, and he watched Ronaldo and other stars playing the game as children. He immediately identified their potential and worked to become their agent. In 2014, Mendes was involved in player transfers worth over $200 million. His own fee from these transactions was an estimated $39 million. In the basketball world, fans around the world waited eagerly to see where LeBron James would move at the end of the 2017-18 season. He ended up signing with the Los Angeles Lakers, and his agent, Rich Paul, played an important role in the deal. Paul met James at an Ohio airport where they bonded over Paul's classic basketball jersey. They became friends, and James hired Paul in 2003. After working under one of James's agents for a couple of years, Paul started his own agency with James as one of his clients. Agents like Mendes and Paul take care of business off the field so that the stars they manage can take care of business on it.
We're talking about sports profiles. When you talk about a profile, you're talking about somebody and what they do and maybe their background. Here we're talking about super agents. They are agents, sports agents that represent superstars, so we could call them super agents. You can make a lot of money if you're an agent for an athlete, especially athletes that are so well known around the world. I had my own agent when I was singing. I had a talent agent. Agents who represent people who are performers or athletes, or even business people sometimes will have an agent if they do some commercials. they make a percentage of what the person they're representing makes. So in my case, my agent would take 15% of anything I earned from concerts or musicals. In the sports world, typically they make between 15 to 20% of their athletes that are signing these new contracts. Everything that player makes, everything he does to make money, the agent then gets a share of it. So it's a good way to make a living if you're very persuasive and you love a sport in particular. It's a field to get into, but you have to be tough. And sometimes you're negotiating to steal an athlete away from a current agent.
Indeed. So I suppose you could study some kind of business degree in university if you're interested in pursuing a career like this.
A lot of them are lawyers. They've graduated from law school.
That would make sense because it does involve law.
Contracts,
contracts, all that sort of thing. And I guess some people try to break contracts sometimes because, oh, you guys didn't fulfill your end of the contract, so I'm entitled to break my contract with you, etc., etc. So, again, this lesson is entitled Sports Profiles, the Super Agents. And here we've got a vocabulary term for you to talk about, sports profiles. Now, a profile usually is kind of an outline of something, kind of a general description of a person. It could be your face seen from the side. That's your profile. But in this particular case, it just refers to how we describe a certain kind of person in the sports world.
Yeah, if you look up a profile, you'll also see that it's kind of a short article that gives a description of a person or organization. For example, let's talk about Jeff Bezos. He is the owner of Amazon. Sometimes magazines will go and interview somebody and then publish that interview with pictures. That's called a profile in the magazine. Tells you about them, interviews them, gives you some more information about their background. That's a profile. So this is a very, very short profile because our article is not very long, but it gives you a taste of what these sports agents do.
Okay, so here in the first paragraph it says, when it comes to the big names in sports, people tend to think of the players on the field. So when it comes to these big names, if we're thinking about these big famous people in sports, the big names, of course, people tend to think of the players on the field. So yeah, what are some big names in sports? Okay, well, LeBron James, or Kobe Bryant, or Michael Jordan, or Wayne Gretzky in the NHL, or Derek Jeter in baseball. Those are big names in sports, and those are the people that people tend to think of, the players on the field, the people out there throwing the balls around, shooting the balls in the baskets, etc., etc. Those are the big names in sports.
Now, it says here, in order for team owners to assemble a squad of championship-level players, they need to deal with the players' agents. They sure do. If you assemble something, you put it together. We had assemblies in high school and junior high where all of the students would come together for a meeting. Maybe the principal was talking to us, or maybe we were getting ready for a big game, so we were doing cheers together. That was an assembly. But here the verb is to assemble, to gather together people for some sort of purpose. A squad is another name for a team, especially a sports team. And cheerleaders had a cheerleading squad. So it was a group of people working together. So in order to even put that team together, they have to deal with the players' agents. Even players that are just coming into the league for the first year, they're drafted, as you all know. As they're drafted, they still, at that point, have an agent who has contacted their family and signed a contract with them to represent them. It's then that the agents deal with the teams to determine how much they'll be paid.
Very good, and this does seem like it's something that's necessary because if you're a player, you don't want to be bothered with all these petty details about contracts and stuff. You need to focus on your training, on your games and stuff like that, and that's why an agent is so important. Now, let's talk about a big name, an agency here, Jorge Mendes. Okay, Jorge, I believe that's how you would pronounce that in Spanish. He represents some of the superstars of the soccer soccer world or football. It depends on where you are. Soccer is what we call the sport in America, 足球, as you say it in Chinese. And he represents some of the superstars who play football, probably in the leagues in Europe. It also could include your leagues in South America or whatever. He represents some of these big names. To represent means you stand for that person or you are that person's agent. And his clients include Cristiano Ronaldo and James Rodriguez. I think Ronaldo did pretty well in the World Cup this year, although Portugal didn't make the final. But I think they still did quite well. He scored a number of goals. And also Jorge Mendes even works for Jose Mourinho, one of soccer's most successful coaches. Interesting. So even coaches can have an agent. Jose, it's Jose, I think, because he's Portuguese. So I think that's how you pronounce it. He used to coach Chelsea, I think, and then he went to Real Madrid. And I believe he's at Manchester United now.
A lot of the agents that are working as sports agents actually played a particular sport as they were young, and they weren't good enough to make a professional team. And so it's a way to stay close to the sport they love and still work and make a lot of money. So that was true of Mendes. He played soccer when he was younger, and so he really understands the sport. And he had watched Ronaldo and other players, other stars playing the game as children when he's been watching it for a long time. So he immediately identified their potential as they were young kids. It sounds like Mendes is older than the players he represents. So he saw them playing as kids and went, wow, they have talent. They have a lot of potential. A lot of people who are talented will be described as having potential before they've fully developed all of their talent and their skills. So if you identify something, you point it out, you say this is true or this is really a great kid over here that we need to look at. You can identify someone by saying, oh, I know who that person is. But if you identify potential, it means you recognize and can see that someone has talent. And so he wanted to sign these kids when they were fairly young. That's when you should sign star players, before they become stars. You tend to get in before they're stars, and you can make a lot of money in the long run. So
I suppose they send out scouts or something like that to keep an eye on certain players. So if you are a player, then you better do your best, because scouts might be watching you and they'll report back to the agent, and maybe they'll come looking for you in the future.
Or the teams, yes. Teams have scouts too.
You bet. So he identified the potential of players like Ronaldo and Rodriguez. So he could tell that, yes, they've got potential. They're going to be good in the future. They're not only talented, but they also work well with the team, and they've got a good attitude and stuff like that. And 2014, in the year 2014, Mendes was involved in player transfers worth over $200 million US. Now, here we've got the verb involve, and usually it's with the be verb, to be involved with or to be involved in. You could say it both ways. That just means you played a part in this, you were a part of this activity. So he played a part in player transfers. He was involved in player transfers. He was there, doing work on these transfers. And a transfer, I guess, when I think of a transfer, of course, I think about, say, if you're going to university and you start studying at one university and you just decide to change to another university, then you transfer to that university. Or you could transfer jobs within the same company, but maybe to a different department. That would be a transfer. But in the sports world, it's slightly different, right?
Yeah, they're just moving from one team to another. If your contract ends, then you negotiate, and you possibly could move to a new team or stay with your old team and sign another contract. So he was involved with players who were moving from one team to another, and their contracts added up to over $200 million US. His own fee, and that's the percentage that he takes or he makes from the contracts of his players that he represents. His fee was an estimated $39 million US, which is almost 20%. So You usually charge a fee or you take a percentage if you're an agent of the money that your players make. So a transaction is just when a business deal is done and usually either money is exchanged or goods are exchanged. So it's an instance of buying or selling something. So good for him. He made a lot of money just by sitting at a desk and using a phone and meeting people. He didn't have to get out there on the field or on the court and work hard. And sometimes those athletes are injured too. It's a much safer way to make a living than being an athlete.
Certainly, although I'm sure these guys work out as well, just to keep in shape. But most of their work is involved with the office and making phone calls and having meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, let's go to the basketball world. In the world of basketball, fans around the world waited eagerly to see where LeBron James would move at the end of the 2017-2018 season. Okay, so remember last year, the Cleveland Cavaliers lost in the finals, I believe, to the Golden State Warriors. Those two teams played in the finals for like 4 years in a row or something like that. And everybody kind of knew that LeBron James was going to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers at that point. Okay, so everybody was wondering, gee, where's he going to go? Okay, he's going to move to another team, but we just don't know where he's going to go. So everybody was eagerly awaiting that. If you're eager for something, that means you're really excited about something that hasn't happened yet. Children might be eager to go to the playground when they're kids, or they might be eager to go to an amusement park if mom and dad are going to take them there on a Saturday or something like that. So yes, you can be eager, and eagerly, here's the adverb. It describes how they were waiting. They were waiting eagerly. Where's he going to go? We really want to know.
Yeah, it was kind of exciting to see which team he would end up with or which team he'd land with. We'd say that as well. He ended up signing with the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I grew up hating the Lakers because I lived in Arizona and we had the Phoenix Suns and they were our rival team.
Oh.
So I hate the Lakers still. And his agent, whose name is Rich Paul, he played an important role in the deal. Now, Paul met LeBron James at an Ohio airport where they bonded over Paul's classic basketball jersey. I'm not sure when it happened. It must have been a while ago, but they kind of, their paths crossed and they started talking about basketball. And LeBron loved that Rich Paul had this classic basketball jersey. Those shirts that the athletes wear, they're called jerseys. They have numbers on them. Some teams have names on the back as well. If you've noticed, the Yankees don't because they think it's uncool to have the player's name on the back. You should know the player by his number. But most jerseys have the player's name and the number. And if you bond over something, it means you get to be friends. You feel like you have a connection, a relationship. Maybe you've bonded over food with a friend, or you've bonded over rock music with a friend. I have a friend and we bonded over baseball together. We both loved the Yankees and we became friends through that interest. Well, they became friends and James hired Paul to be his agent in 2003, so 2003, you can say. So that's when they first started working together, agent and athlete.
Cool. And they met at an Ohio airport. I'm assuming it's the airport in Cleveland, Ohio, but who knows? Maybe it was in Columbus or Cincinnati. And after working under one of James's agents for a couple of years, Paul started his own agency with James as one of his clients. So, again, this person, not Ron Paul, the politician. What's this guy's name? Rich Paul.
Rich Paul.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a different Paul. It's kind of strange because here Paul is a surname. It's not a name, a first name. But in any case, he was not his own boss at that point. He was working under another agent. He was kind of an assistant agent, I guess. So he worked under one of James's agents for a couple of years. James already had an agent, so this guy was under him. And then Paul Paul started his own agency. He became his own boss, and James was one of his clients. And that's pretty good. If you can say, hey, I've got LeBron James as one of my clients, he's probably going to attract other players as well, and those players are going to want to have him as their agent.
Yeah, so agents like Mendez and Paul, they take care of business off the field so their stars can focus on playing well. They don't have to worry about contracts and companies that want them to represent their products, like sports companies, sports apparel companies, sports equipment companies. You see a lot of commercials featuring famous athletes. Well, they're being paid a lot of money to do those ads. So what happens is the agent takes care of all the scheduling and the meetings and all of the things that athletes really don't want to take care of or worry about. It's like having your own personal assistant, and that assistant, of course, is making a big percentage of the money that you're bringing in, which is something we're going to talk about in our discussion questions. But right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, my name is Tina. 我们来看一下今天要谈论运动经纪人这样子的主题。首先来看到第一段的第二个句子提到 However, in order for team owners to assemble a squad of championship-level players, they need to deal with the players' agents.在这里提到呢，如果一个队伍想要集合一个有冠军等级选手的小队的话，首先我们来看一下集合召集叫做 assemble， 用来当作是动词。举例来说，有超过1万多人聚集在机场欢迎总统的来访，你就可以说 Over 10,000 people were assembled at the airport to honor the president's visit. 而在这里是要集合一个 squad 呢指的就是一个小组小队，我们常常听到所谓的 the bomb squad 指的就是炸弹处理的小组，而这个小组必须要有 championship level， 也就是要有可以获得冠军资格等级的选手。这时候球队该怎么办呢？当然就是他们必须要 deal with the players' agents， 要跟他们的经纪人打交道咯。第二段要介绍的是 Jorge Mendes， 他是一个非常有名的一个经纪人，是许多超级球员的代表经纪人。我们来看一下第二段中间的句子。Though he never made it as a player himself, Mendes understands soccer, and he watched Ronaldo and other stars playing the game as children.虽然呢 Mendes 他本身呢没有成功，在这里的 make it 过去式 made it as a player， 他自己没有办法成为足球员，但是他却非常了解 soccer。 他在呢 Ronaldo 很小还有其他球星还是孩子的时候就观赏他们的比赛，为了要看出他们的潜力。后面的句子持续说He immediately identified their potential and worked to become their agent. 很快的呢，他就能够认出他们这些人的潜力 potential， 然后就很努力的要成为他们的经纪人。后面继续说In 2014, Mendes was involved in player transfers worth over $200 million. 在2014年呢，他呢就介入了一个球员的调动的案子当中，而在其中呢，他就参与了价值超过美金2亿元的这样子的生意。当然，他所得到的这些佣金也会很高咯。在这里，我们要来认识一下 involve 这个动词。常常我们看到人当主词，参与怎么样的事情会用被动的方式来表达。你会看到人当主词 be involved in， 也就是某人参与怎么样的事情的意思。所以他参与了这样的球员转换跟调动。 transfer 也就是有转换调动的意思。当作动词则是有搬迁或者是转车，我们常常听到捷运上会有 transfer 这个字。 You can take the subway and then transfer to a bus. 指的就是你可以先搭乘呢地下铁，然后再转乘公车。接着我们继续来看到第3段，提到这个篮球界的超级巨星 LeBron James， 他的经纪人又是如何呢？在第3段的第2个句子提到He ended up signing with the Los Angeles Lakers, and his agent, Rich Paul, played an important role in the deal. 其实呢 LeBron James 到最后呢去跟洛杉矶湖人队签约，而他的经纪人 Rich Paul 则是扮演着重要的角色。在这里同学要注意一下end up 后面如果有动词的话，要以 VING 的形式来表达，像在这里的 ended up signing with the Los Angeles Lakers。 后面的句子继续写着Paul met James at an Ohio airport where they bonded over Paul's classic basketball jersey.其实呢他的经纪人跟这个 LeBron James 他们相遇呢是在俄亥俄州的一个机场 Where 请同学圈起来，在那里呢他们就建立了感情跟友谊，然后是透过 Paul 的一个经典篮球运动衫。我们来看一下 bound 这个动词，还有建立感情跟建立友谊的意思。举例来说The team has bounded together well 指的就是呢这个队伍当中球员呢是相当紧密的团结连结在一起的意思。最后我们来看到最后一句 Agents like Mendes and Paul take care of business off the field so that the stars they manage can take care of business on it. 所以有了经纪人可以帮忙处理运动场外的事务，他们的运动明星才能够好好的上场比赛。 OK， 以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's time now for some discussion questions. If you had an agent, what would you want that person to do for you?
Well, I would want them to use their brains to get me the most money possible, and also to go out and find companies that I could represent, that I would be proud to represent, because that would add to my income. So what about you, Tom?
Well, I'd like to know if they also include services like doing your laundry for you.
No, they do not.
Oh, no, I want someone to do my laundry for me, or cook for me, or clean up my house, or drive my kid to school, stuff like that. No, I guess they don't do that.
They would find people to do that for you.
They might help you, yeah,
sure.
but you still got to pay those people
of
separately.
Course.
And here's another question. Should agents make lots of money from the deals they make? Explain your answer.
Well, I kind of talked about this in day one. What do you think, Tom?
Well, if it's like 15 to 20%, that seems fair. If you find your client a great job and they get a lot of money, then you get that percentage. It gives you that incentive to find better jobs for your clients.
True.
If you find them really bad jobs, then yeah, your percentage is going to be lower. Well, the percentage is the same, but the money will be lower.
True. I never felt bad about giving my agent some of my money because she got me into auditions and she talked about me to different companies and with a lot of positive feedback. So, yeah, the agents who work hard, they earn the money that they receive. So that's it on sports agents. Maybe some of our listeners have a dream of becoming a sports agent. It's not a bad gig. You might want to look into it. Well, for English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom. Goodbye.
See you later.